and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. It's been a long time since I've heard that introduction, and it's been quite a while since I've done this. So let's see if I can shake off the rust and dive headlong into tonight's episode. Before we get into it all, let's see who we've got on the show today. We welcome Joe. Joe, my friend, how are you?
Hello, sir. Yeah, good to see you back in the hosting seat. It's nice to be able to not host tonight, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, just ready to talk stuff. It's gonna be fun.
It certainly is, and hopefully a cathartic experience for everybody involved. Talking of cathartic, it's Aaron Stevens. Aaron, my friend, you beautiful bloody human being, you. How are you?
I'm okay, Tom. How are you, my friend? It's been a long time. It's good to be back, but probably not in the right circumstances. But it's good to be back.
Yes, it is lovely to be back. How am I? I've bossed up my knee. I've done my MCL. I feel like a professional footballer going through muscular and tendon and ligament damage. But I can confirm I am alive. And it's my first time on the show with Ian. Ian, my friend, welcome. How are you?
Yes, it is first time. I am good. I am very well. I am enjoying the fact that we are in such a turmoil, aren't we? Loving wearing a Brighton shirt and going, "Oh, you support Brighton? Yeah, love that, mate."
Oh, it's like old times, but not in the good old times, like perhaps me and you, Aaron, that we remember back in our youth. Aaron, I'm going to come to you first. I want to get your view of the last three games. So for those of you who have blocked those from your memories, that's Palace at home, Villa away, and Liverpool away in the Cup. Aaron, you were at all three, you mad bastard. Tell us what possessed you to go to all those games and your general view of it all.
The Palace game being a season ticket holder, obviously, is a game I'm not going to miss. How to describe that game in one word? Shite is the word I'd use, and that's being polite. I think less said about that, the better. We knew how bad that was. Everyone associated with the club should really be embarrassed of that type of performance against your rivals, and the fact that nobody really gave a flying fuck about that game. From player side of things, you could kind of tell with the performance they put in. I knew we were in trouble from before the game even kicked off. When I was speaking to, if you guys don't remember, I know the Palace kit man quite well, and he said they were up for it. It's the most they've been up for any game since the cup final. And I thought, yeah, we're in trouble here. There's no possible way we're getting a result out of this. And yeah, imagine my shock when Sarr goes for on goal and Dunk falls on his arse again. So, that less said about that, the better. I think we'll go into a bit more detail later on about the toxic atmosphere at the Amex later on regarding the PE teacher himself. Villa, I thought Villa away was actually a decent performance, if I'm honest with you. First half we were shite, but then again Villa were as well. And second half I thought it got to sort of like the 80th minute. I was thinking, do you know what? I think we've actually deserved the point here. The players actually gave a little bit of a reaction from Sunday, and that's all really we could ask. Did we have many chances? Not really, but at the same time, neither did they. And then lo and behold, they get a set piece, and yeah, we seem to switch off at a vital moment. They score and inevitably take the 3 points, which is pretty standard for Brighton at Villa Park, really. And then yesterday was it's kind of similar to Villa, but roles reversed. First 20 minutes we were very good. Other than that, it was pretty dire. And I said on TalkSport last night, it felt like there was an acceptance of we were never going to win that game. Even before we kicked off, Liverpool had been obviously they've been poor this year for their standards anyway. And as soon as I saw that the team they put out, I was thinking, yeah, this game over for us really. And then our team came out as well, and also I don't really understand the team selection, but I no doubt we'll get into that later. I don't mind losing, but there's a way to lose. and the last two games, i.e. the Palace and Liverpool game, we lost. We went down with a whimper, and that's not acceptable. And there isn't really much you can do with Szoboszlai's goal. Fantastic finish, really good bit of football from Liverpool. I didn't think it was a penalty when I was seeing it. He goes down very easy. It's soft, but it's Salah, so what do you expect? And then Mr. Hürzeler decides, do you know what would be a really good idea? We go 2-0 down. Really good idea to finally bring in some attacking players. Yeah, good. Bring on the wingers. Fucking smart. Well done. Could have told you that at the start of the game. Fucking moron. But yeah, that's it for me. I mean, to be honest, I've done the Villa and Liverpool game for the loyalty points more than anything else. No clue we were going to get a victory. No idea that we would end up going to Liverpool and be so spineless and gutless in an hour of football or 70 minutes of football. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm ratty. I got home at 2:45 this morning. Yeah. Yay.
Thank you, Aaron, for that breakdown of the last three games. We'll unpick certain bits of that as an overall theme as we go on. I don't want to delve too much into it all because it is rather still raw and painful, and there's a lot of doom and gloom around the club, rightfully so. But Ian, let's talk really quickly then in regards to just a few things then. So Palace was obviously a really dire performance, and I think a lot of fans were quite happy in the terms of the response, generally speaking, at Villa and Liverpool. For you, was that response enough to sort of convince you that, at least for now, Hürzeler's, the right man for the job? Obviously, Bloom and Barber, seem to be very relaxed about it all. They seem to be very sort of consistent that he's the coach and it's not going to change anytime soon. But for you as a fan, was just seeing a change of attitude enough?
I mean, Palace was flat. I think apart from maybe like the opening 5 minutes of the second half, where we were looked a little bit more comfortable in possession and were making forward passes and stuff. Apart from that, there was nothing really of highlight. So when we were kind of going up to Villa, there was a lot of negativity, and I do think he handled it well to a certain extent, in the sense that he's maybe. I mean, I was there as well, and I felt like even the players made more of an effort to actually interact with the fans from warm up and vice versa. I was really lucky. I was basically at the pitch, which was nice. And I think to a certain extent, yes, there was a bit of a reaction. Sorry for the dog drinking in the background. Yes, so I think there was a somewhat reaction, but then sort of the first half, we looked a little bit sloppy in possession, couldn't get a grip of the game, and then, second half we seemed a lot better, but very slow in our counters, and weirdly, I was saying to the lad beside me, I was like, this is a time for Minto. Like, if we're going to be using our counters and trying to do it in a pacey manner, why not try and put Mente on? Because, no disrespect to Pascal Gross, you don't have to be a Pep Guardiola like character to figure out that the faster and the person better on the wing will be Mente. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed, and then like you say, I think we could have got a point from it, so bit disappointed from that. And then I wasn't able to watch the Liverpool game, so I only had sort of notifications to go off, and it looked like we sort of started relatively okay and we're on a bit of a front foot, and then once they scored, it seemed that was it. So as for I am pretty confident in Fabian, but I need to see more. I want to see if we do win, it needs to be it can't be a win of which a bit scrappy. It now needs to be a win of, we showed our class. This is where we're at. 2 fingers up to the rest of you, basically. If it's a scrappy 1-0 win, yes, we'll be happy to win, but we'll also be going, where's the performance gone? So until he goes, I will back him, because I think Tony and Paul have only really done more. They've done more good than bad for us as fans. So I feel like it's wrong to necessarily go completely against them, but it's sometimes hard as a fan to look at it from a more of a generic point of view rather than fans, because that's what you do, isn't it? It's what you love about football. Is it can get you. It will change your mood for the weekend or week, depending on. But we've got to also sometimes just kind of see it a little bit from their point of view, which is hard to do. So I'm Fabian in for now, but we'll stay posted on that.
Thank you, Ian. It's, of course, I mean, football is a game of opinions, and as you say, it's a game of emotions as well. Sometimes it can be really hard to detach yourself from those emotions. Something that was slightly emotional, Joe, in the sense, well, I say emotional, that's a bit of a over-egging it. We saw another local youngster getting quite a bit of game time recently, Harry Howell. One that really sort of had a lot of people scratching their heads, starting against Palace, the biggest game of the season, one of the biggest games of the season, playing them at home, and he starts against Palace, and then he starts a week later against Liverpool. A lot of trust to put in the youngster, especially when you've got Yankuba Minte on the bench. A lot of Pat fans after last night sort of pointing fingers at him for the Liverpool first goal, which I think you can say, yeah, fair enough. He should have got a bit tighter, but the defending in the box wasn't particularly good either. What have you made of the selection decision to start Harry Howell?
Start a bit too soon. I think with young players like that, there's an aspect of the coach needs to protect them and play them at the right time to make the most impact that they possibly can, and to not have the weight of the world on their shoulders to be pulling up trees, especially when you're in a rough patch like we are. Of course, we got full faith in the lad, and we've watched him for the under-21s, and we've watched the moments that he has come into the first team and done well, obviously in the cup earlier in the season, but that's against League One opposition. So, yeah, I think there's an element of, I don't know, desperation from Fabian Hürzeler to throw in a wild card and hope he comes good. And I just think doing that with a 17-year-old is just a dangerous game to play. And as you say, especially when you've got Yankuba Minte on the bench, who seems to be suffering from this dead leg now for, a month? And people are still 2 months and still saying he's not fit. Like, I asked the question, what on earth does Yankuba Minte have to do to start? And I was getting, well, he's not fully fit. He's not fully fit. But he's fit enough to come on as an impact sub and make no impact, by the way. Is that because of his attitude? Because he's not starting games, so he's coming on with a poor attitude? There just seems to be a big lack of man management going on. There's been some pretty horrific reactions from players coming off substitution-wise. At the end of the game, what is it, against Palace? No, Everton. Certain Pascal Gross wasn't overly happy with the substitution that you've already mentioned, Tom. So, yeah, there's just so much doubt starting to become very, very loud. And I can't ignore it.
No, we can't. And Aaron, what did you make of Maxime de Kuyper telling Fabian to fuck off, quote unquote, as he left the pitch when he was substituted? And also Lewis Dunk's post-match comments saying that the squad aren't training hard enough. I mean, it just paints a picture of chaos behind the scenes.
To be fair, I've been telling him to fuck off for the last 2 months, so it's not a surprise that the players are starting to now. I don't really know what you want me to say to it, Tom, to most of you.
I think it was the Dunk comments that really just...
If I'm being brutally honest,
Please
didn't surprise me. When you've got a manager who's absolutely inept in showing any sort of tactical nous, I'm not surprised that his training is fucking diabolical. Because where does all the hard work lead to in the week onto the Saturday? It works up through Tuesday, intense all the way through to Saturday. Why am I not surprised that it's just been crap all the way through the week, and lo and behold, it shows again on the Saturday or a Sunday or whenever? Doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me in the slightest, and it will not change until he leaves the club. Simple as that.
Just on training, I saw on North Stand chat earlier today some chat that Matter related. I think it was with BBC Sport, and he was talking about like when he was over at Marseille and sort of like De Zerbi and his demands and things, and then how he was saying that De Zerbi would want you in 7 days a week, even if you weren't training. You'd be at the training ground, you'd be doing your recovery, and you'd be there. Whereas here, you're given like stretches to do at home. I just sort of think
so they get, after a game, they get 2 days off regardless. So when they travelled back down last night, they would have been off today, off tomorrow, back in probably Tuesday. Realistically, they're back in later on this afternoon for recovery. You're in a relegation fight. Fucking buck your ideas up. And to me, it's not right. But at the same time, yes, they're professional athletes. They should compete they compete at highest level in England. Their body goes through a lot. That's nice. You're getting paid 100 grand a week to do it. Suffer for a couple of days. They're so looked after that they can carry on playing. They could quite easily go Saturday, Tuesday if I wanted to. No issue whatsoever. Because that's what we're probably looking like we're going to have to next year. The way things are going. So
that's what they do in the Championship.
Yeah.
And in League One.
I don't understand what's really happening at this football club. It actually kind of scares me a little bit, because we've had so many highs in the last sort of 10 years, and then we've taken a risk hiring a guy who's had 2 good seasons in Germany, and it's now gone completely tits up. Realistically, he should never have been hired in the first place. I think everybody knows that. But the 2 people who don't are the 2 people that need to make the decision. It's not worked. The idea that he's been brought in purely for stats, off of stats that Tony Bloom does, that's cool. That's what he does. We know that's what the data he provides, all that stuff. How many times have I said this, Tom and Joe, for this matter? Stats and data do not win you football matches. Simple. You telling me the likes of Sean Dyche and other David Moyes, etc., looks at data and that's what we need, boys. That's what we need. We need someone with 78% passing accuracy from playing left to right. And no, it's not what modern day football, what managers should be looking at. You look at the players that can strengthen you. You go and scout them like you used to, and I don't understand the data now. There's no need for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think data and obviously things are great, but they should exist within a context. And yeah, I think I think you're right, Aaron, that sort of we've perhaps swallowed our own hype a bit too much in terms of like, our data suggests that this person is going to be worth £20 billion in 2 years. And I think that we will talk about recruitment, because I think a lot of this criticism that we are levelling at the club comes down to recruitment as well. So the recruitment team, you haven't got off the hook just yet. We are live, and thank you for your comments, guys. I haven't been ignoring you. It's just I want to give the panel time to share their thoughts. I have been starring some of your comments. A lot of them are going to be sort of part of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I'm sorry, Michael, that you found it a bit depressing, but unfortunately, we're in a bit of a rut at the moment because, yes, I know Liverpool losing to Liverpool at the Anfield in isolation probably doesn't seem that bad, but it's not isolation, is it, Ian? It's 2 wins three wins since the end of November in all competitions. It's a dire run of form. We haven't scored for almost 300 minutes. We can't keep clean sheets to save our life. And it's just not a very pleasant experience supporting Albion at the moment.
No, it's definitely testing the word supporter. And touching on the sort of like when Lewis Dunk said about the training, to me, one of the first alarm bells that rang to me and was obviously, well, if we're not training well, what are the likes of Fabian and Jonas and all that, setting as the training itinerary. But also, you always hear the clubs that say we've got a fantastic leadership group in the likes of Donkey, Steely, Milner, Welbs, these sort of so why aren't they demanding more then? If they're not training well, then how much is it coming down to the players and the managers? Obviously, there's no way to know because, unless you're there every single day, you cannot see how much effort they're putting in training and who's being the real instigator and whatever. But it does beg the question of if we aren't training well, then why aren't the likes of Steele and Jason Steele and Danny Welbeck and Lewis Dunk and Pascal Gross and all these, in quotations, leaders of our group, basically having a go at the younger ones and saying, if you want to be at a Premier League club and you want to be challenging for Europe, you've got to act like a Premier League player / European player. But train like it. Every sport will tell you that. It's not a massive secret. You ask anyone in any field you look at Mo Farah, he wouldn't have just gone, I'll just run 2K today. He wouldn't do that. He would be like, no, I'll do 3K, but at this pace, so that I have to challenge myself and know that I can do this pace at this time. And even I think someone like Akili Hodgkinson, who's more successful in more recent times, and you've got more data and all that to look at, she says, I never do my race distance when I'm training, but what I do is time distance and sprint distances. So I know I have the fitness, and then it's putting it all together on the day. But she has to be her own biggest motivator. So I would love to know what is going on at the training ground. Because
sorry, Syrian, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
I remember seeing videos, and again, I don't want to keep bringing him up because he feels like a ghost that is just constantly haunting us. But you'd see the videos of training under De Zerbi and the demands that he would be putting on players. And Webster has said it on the official podcast about how you just repeat, and it was grueling and it was boring, and it wasn't particularly enjoyable for the players, but it yielded results. Whereas now you see the videos of training and it's them running out onto the pitches and you don't actually see as much of them.
Under blaring some sort of I don't know, Doja Cat music or something.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have that sort of that level anymore.
I'm with this whole I don't mind players training to a bit of music in a pre-season, when you're in Spain or whatever, you crack on. It's not full season, enjoy yourself. Whatever, let's just make sure we're building up fitness and sharpness and stuff. But when it's in a situation like this, I don't want to be hearing a Doja Cat song while we're preparing for a Premier League match against our biggest rivals. Politely, that's not how you train for that, is it? Even in an exam, you're not going to go just before you're doing your GCSEs. You're not hyping yourself up by Wham! Last Christmas, are you? You're no, this is actually time to be serious. We need to be. So I don't get what the whole. So I do get they're trying to get the players to be happy and all that, but sometimes there's a time going, if you want to train with music, we'll fucking get a result first, then we can discuss. You've got to it's like any child, isn't it? If a child's misbehaving, you don't keep treating them to what they call their luxuries. You go, no, if you're not going to behave, I'll take them away from you. So I would love to see a bit more. I don't have inside training, but I'd love to see a bit more actual inside training videos. Fair enough, don't give away tactics. Not that much of an idiot, but like, let me hear what Fabian's saying then. If we aren't training well, what's Fabian saying if we aren't training well, and what the senior players and stuff like that? It would be great to see it's almost like you need a fan perspective to go in. And I think it was a few seasons ago, it's a bit cringe, but it was similar. The Arsenal all or nothing thing, when they had the cameraman, and Arteta went, no, he's an actual fan, so he can do the talk. And it got the players thinking from a different perspective. It's almost like we need something similar to that, of going, just remember what you actually have right now. And in 10 years' time, the majority of you sitting here will be, at best, on Sky Sports on Monday Night Football. So enjoy this time, but you need to then be delivering it, because soon enough, if you're not going to deliver, we will be playing Tuesdays, Saturdays in the Championship. And all of a sudden, you're considered a Championship player, not a Premier League player. And that ruins everything.
Yeah, and it's like you say, Ian, this is when you look to your leaders. Again, like you'd be looking at Dunkey, Welbeck, Veltman, to lead you, and people like Webster and Steely, even people like Webster who might not even be there at the training ground every day would still be in that sort of backroom area, just, getting the lads up for it. And if you can't get up for this level against, games like the FA Cup, where you can feasibly lift silverware, or against your biggest rivals, what are you doing?
I also think with the Liverpool thing, though, is like we should have had the mentality of it's a free hit. Like, we know we're in bad form, but if anything, free hit. Let's just go for it. At worst, we lose. We lost to Liverpool, but at least we lost giving it a fair go. No, we've got to just treat it like that sometimes.
Yeah. Starting your best players in their best positions tends to help there, Fabian, just to give you a little hint. Joe, if we fail to score against Brentford on Saturday, there won't be a February goal of the month contender.
Mm-hmm.
So that
sounds pretty good to me, Tom.
Now,
well, Jack Hinshaw couldn't get it because he scored an own goal.
The question, right? Just really quickly on Brentford, Joe, the question a lot of fans have been sort of chatting about is Tony Bloom. Where is he going to sit? Because if we do lose, or it's not a good performance, because obviously he doesn't like going in the director's box at Brentford, do you reckon he misses that game?
No, I don't think so. I think he is supporter enough to face the music. I think he, whilst we can sit here and say that he's sitting on his throne and not making the decision, he will be hurting by what is happening at this football club more than we probably know. And I think it could be a good thing for him to sit with the fans and try and truly understand our feelings a little bit here, because there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect and a little bit of a misunderstanding of where we can see the club going and where they still think the club are, and that it's just a bad spell. A bad spell isn't 3 wins since November, so that there is a growing problem that needs to be addressed. So I think Tony Bloom would do himself favours by trying to understand the fans' perspective.
For what it's worth, I think he probably does. I think Bloom, first and foremost, is a fan, but he's not the sort of chairman who's going to come out publicly and go, "I got it wrong. Sorry, on your bike, Fabian." I confidently predict that it will be a similar situation to Chrissy Houghton. I reckon end of May, we'll know one way or the other. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was us parting ways, and then another coach brought in, pretty sharpish actually. A lot of fans saying that Bloom has sort of got his eyes elsewhere with Hearts, and Union Saint-Gilloise doing so well. Perhaps there is a split in his attention, but we'll sort of get onto that when we talk about things like recruitment. James just in the comments says end of the season will be too late if this form continues. Aaron, are we safe?
No. We are in major shit. And it will stay that way with him in charge. He stays in charge. We are, I would say, a good 70 or 80% likely to go down. Teams below us are winning, picking up points. We are not. I can't really get much more black and white than that. Bloom has made a mistake. If he had the fans' interest at heart, he would have gone after Palace. Simple, because that was the most that reminded me so much of Hoopier at Millwall. Well, Millwall at home, where the fans had completely turned on him. And the fact he survived that does make me think that Bloom's not going to sack him. And by that point, it'll be too late. We'll be playing Championship football next year. And 80% of that squad will be sold. Because none of that squad will stay with us in the Championship. No chance. Like, the ones who probably would probably be Dunk out of loyalty.
Solly because he's local and he's coming back from injury.
And
Webster, that's Steely.
No, Steele, to be fair, I thought Steele was dreadful yesterday, in fairness.
He was.
Different subject altogether. Other than that, I don't see a lot of them staying. It's going to be one of those situations where we're too proud enough to not own up and say, yeah, we've made a mistake. And we'll wait till the end of the year. Be way too late by then. I can't see where our next goal is coming from. Let alone the next bloody point or next win. Like, we'll lose it. We'll lose it at Brentford. We'll probably draw 0-0 at Forest, or if not, they'll probably score because they've got a new manager bounce. And then what? Arsenal at home, joy. Like, it's really going to go really down to the Leeds and Burnley games at this point. Why are we looking down? We were so well rounded at one point in this division. We had experience, youth, and quality. What have we got now? We've got players with some sort of quality. We have leadership, but we have absolutely the wrong type of players in at this football club at this moment in time. We've gone for youngsters. Your Babis, we're starting Harry Howe, Stefanos when he was fit before he done his knee. That's all well and good, but we need proven Premier League players around him. We have not got that. Not that stay fit anyway. It's going to be touch and go, lads. It really is. And you know me. I'm the most biggest pessimist known to man. I am always the negative one on here, over the top or whatever. Don't care. It needs to be said. He stays in charge. We go down. And there's no really way of sugarcoating it. People can have their opinions. That's absolutely fine. But one thing I'm getting sick of is people going, you know what? Look where we come from. Look where we come from. That's nice. But look where we are now. Look where we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. you know, we had some of the best players in the Premier League playing for us. So like Caicedo, McAllister. You know, we had real quality. And now look, we're the laughing stock. We were such a well-run club, and now we have gone the complete opposite way because we're so much on Twitter, especially the last sort of 2 months, is where people like Brighton have just become so boring. And it is spot on. And do you know why we're boring? Would you like to say why we're boring, Tom?
Because we've got a coach who has no tactical identity, no structure, doesn't know his best team, plays players out of position, plays, you know, I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but it's a systemic problem where we play crap for 45 minutes and then we decide, oh, we're going to start playing football now, or vice versa. We can't string a coherent 90 minutes together, let alone a run of games. And it gets to a point where it's not just Fabian, and I accept that. It is recruitment as well, which we are coming on to momentarily. But the coach picks the team, the coach picks the structure, and if you don't have enough wingers to play a 4-2-3-1, you play a different formation. It's not rocket science, man.
Correct. And would it ever change? I don't mind managers sticking to their principles. He hasn't got a fucking clue what his principles are. That is the issue. We are at a point where I said yesterday to you guys, we are stuck in, he's trying to be like Potter, he's trying to be like De Zerbi, it's somewhere in the middle. Stamp your fucking authority on this team and play how you want them to play. Because whatever you're putting out there week after week, game after game, is fucking dire. I have never been so bored watching Brighton. It is ridiculous. Like we were saying on the way back, me and my dad were saying on the way back, he was like, I don't even know if I can really be bothered to go to Arsenal. He's like, I've got month end, I'm going to be busy. I was like, I don't blame you. I'm working. And I'm like, am I going to use leave for that game? No, I probably won't bother.
It doesn't help that Arsenal are the single most boring team in the league.
Yeah, they are. And Arteta's a fraud, but that's a whole different story. It just screams inept in every sense of the word in terms of tactics and football and, you know, the way he wants to play. It's just not there. Everyone can see it. Just fucking get him gone. Give me Sean Dyche at the end of the year. Fuck it. Why not? At least we'll have a style of football. 4-4-2. Fucking lump it up to the big man. Happy days. But at least it's a style of football. We have not got that. We having fucking Gomez on the wing, who's fucking a midfielder. Why? Has he got your nudes, Fabian, or something? Because there's no way he should be playing. He was good at Villa. He was okay at Villa, sorry. But he's been shit for ages. He come back from before he got injured, he was dire. Yes, he scored some worldies against Barnsley. Congratulations, they're League One. You found your level, Diego. Congratulations. You need to fucking think outside the box and stop playing people out of position. Fuck it, play Weaver at right back again. Why not? Not that he's, brought in from, Holland playing in the fucking defensive midfielder position. Might as well play Gross at right back. Fuck it, let's go old school.
No.
Why not?
Why not? Nope. I've still got PTSD from before.
It's just, I'm ranting, but I'm just so fucking fed up with it. So fed up. It's just the same. You turn up at Brighton, and beforehand, under Potter, you knew it was possession based. You could kind of get behind it because when we turned it on, it looked good. Under De Zerbi, it was 100 miles per hour all the time. Perfect. That's good fun. You turn up and watch Brighton at the moment, and it is the most dullest thing I have ever witnessed. Every fucking game is the same. We'll pass it between the two centre halves. We'll go forward. Pass it between the two centre halves again. We'll go sideways. We go backwards. Everywhere we go. There's no attacking threat. Even at Liverpool, there was moments of really good passing between the midfield. But guess what? We still ended up going backwards. Why?
It's like we're playing football, like we're listening to the cha-cha slide. We go one step forward and
Literally,
two steps
yeah.
back. It's literally ridiculous.
It's just, I don't understand what, as fans, we're meant to do. It's all well and good, yeah, get behind the boys, we have to. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, if they're not giving us anything to get behind, it's very difficult. And we've had this conversation in the past where we've had the players gear up the North Stand. And we always say, well, you're literally giving us nothing to get behind. Because we're never going to score a fucking goal at this rate. We are in serious, serious danger, boys and girls. Serious danger. And as soon as I think a lot of people do realise that now. The fact West Ham have started winning. And they're thinking, because I thought West Ham were done. I thought, yeah, we'll be all right. Lucky there's a couple of worse teams than us. When was our last league away win? May I ask?
Nottingham Forest on my birthday.
Was it?
Blimey. That was a
30th of November,
ago.
Yeah.
That was our... Yeah. God.
And that was one goal gifted to us because Forest can't defend. But it's the fact that these two games realistically coming up as in mainly the Forest game, really. If you get a point at Brentford, good, but it's not going to happen because they're set piece FC and we shit ourselves at any sort of throw in or anything like that because we panic. It's going to be a long couple of months, gentlemen. Long couple of months.
It's all right, Aaron. We're used to this, surely.
Yeah, but there's a difference of being used to it and expecting it. There's the thing. Because
yeah, that's true.
Maybe we were living on the high life, being where we were 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe we were overachieving, but then the expectations have gone up, as have the fans and the owners, and you've got someone in who's not really got any pedigree in sustaining a club. Yes, St. Pauli went up as champions to the Bundesliga. Okay, that's nice. I mean, granted, Potter was the same, but at least Potter's football was, even at Swansea, you could see an actual identity. When whoever seen with somebody before, they were a good attacking team. They were actually, to be fair, they were good to watch when you've actually watched some highlights and stuff back when he was in charge. Now, I don't know what's happened. The job is too big for him, and that's a weird thing to say from coming from a Brighton fan. But the job is clearly too much for him and too big for him.
No, I think that's a fair comment, Aaron. No, I think it's that last part, especially about it being too big of a job. He's right. I mean, I know a lot got made when he joined us about his age, and the truth is that yes, he had been coaching previously before anyway, but it was like mainly youth football and assistant manager jobs, and that's great. But actually, it's a different kettle of fish being in the Premier League, and I know that a lot of fans assume, and perhaps rightfully so, that when McKenna fell through because he wanted to stay at Ipswich, and Ipswich gave him a lovely new big contract worth £6 million a year, sort of we had to go down the list, and he was the one that we landed on. It was almost like he was supposed to be the next manager. I think, Ian, one of the things that sort of Aaron's has alluded to about sort of the way we play, I mean, the Premier League has changed, and we sort of I poked fun at Arsenal for being the most boring team in the league. I don't think we've adapted particularly well to the sort of new way that football is often played now in the Premier League. Very man-to-man marking. It's very physical. The demands are, it's fast, it's physical. And Brighton just seem to lack any physicality. I look at our squad and I think we've got Van Hecker and Dunk. And even Dunk can get bullied by quite, big forwards. Van Hecker seems to be able to hold his own, but we don't have that sort of strength in the middle of the pitch. And I know one of the things that Hürzeler likes to talk about is intensity, but we just don't seem to sort of have it across the pitch. Have we just struggled to deal with the way football is being played at the moment?
I think we're struggling in general to, like we've sort of said, like we don't really have an identity, and it's meant to sort of be intensity is what we're meant to be good at. And parts of last season you could see that, maybe that not so much this season. And whether or not that's, again, it's hard to say whether it's down to individuals or the recruitment or now the sort of different style of, apparently we're back in 2008 where we want to use long throw-ins, and don't get me started, I'm not a fan of them. I think they're horrible. But yeah, I don't know. I still want to, it sounds bad, but I think we mentioned it already. We brought in Matt FREEFALL, a defensive midfielder in the Dutch league, who was really good at known for breaking lines and stopping, like, I mean, that perfect defensive midfield that you kind of need in our kind of club. Good at breaking a line forward, but also good at just going, I'm going to be an arsehole to you the whole game, and I'm going to steal the ball and give you a bit of an elbow and stamp on your foot a little bit, but make it look like I've not done anything. And I'm still waiting to see that. And as soon as I saw that we'd signed FIFA, I thought, you know what, I don't mind that, because I was confident we were going to keep Belieber last year just because it was only 1 year. I thought, with Belieber on the left of the pivot and FIFA on the right, that's a fantastic double pivot for us. And that'll give the likes of Georgie so much more time to stay up, because he's basically got two people behind him that like to win the ball and like to be aggressive. But we haven't seen that. And I'm like, I get Fabian's like, he's got traits that could be a good right back. So great, but so can Hinchelwood. Veltman, we brought in as a centre half and primarily done right back. And if our 4-2-3-1 isn't working, why haven't we tried like a proper three? We've got the players to do it now. When we signed Biscaglia, Coppola, we've got the likes of Ferdy.
Had the players to do it.
Yeah, that's what. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in because I'm just going to come to a comment that was up earlier. Someone said about, I'm going to find it now. Hi, Luke. Good to see you, bud. I'm sorry, everyone. I've just ruined you mid flow, but
no,
ADHD. It was from Spaycaster. Agree, James. My point is that we can't really compare Fab to other managers we have recently because the squad is considerably less balanced. I get that, but the squad at the beginning of the season had all the personnel to do a 3-4-2-1, which is the way he played at St. Pauli, and we didn't do it.
And interestingly enough, I know it's not the same, but I think it was against Chelsea last year in the Cup or the League, one of the two. And they put Minte a right wing back, and he did well there. Now, I'm not saying he is a right wing back, and I'm not saying that's his best position, but he clearly isn't bad at it. So I wouldn't even be against if he had tried that, and it didn't quite work in a game, and you've gone, right, okay, fair enough. But the stat that so he has done it, and he did well there. So it can be done, and I'm not even against having it where we've got like a FIFA and Belieber as our two ahead of the three, and then we use like 30, and then we've got. It would be interesting. God, do it against, even if you did the trial run against like a Barnsley or something in the season when you're going, right, we're going to give it a go. We can always revert back to the 4-2-3-1, but we haven't seen that really. We haven't seen the three at the back that he was so good at St. Pauli.
I think we've seen it. We've seen it once this season. We've lined up in a back three. I can't remember which game it was.
I think it was against a big. I don't know.
Was it Arsenal? Arsenal in the Cup.
Yeah. So why are we trying it now with our weaker team? I'd love to just see like I've Biscaglia on the left, probably Van Hecke maybe in the middle, and then either Dunk or Coppola or Veltman in the right. I don't really care who it goes in there, but trial it out because I think it would just look so much more efficient if we tried it more. Because it then gives teams a opportunity of we're too predictable. Similar to how we were under Houghton. You knew on the shoot, and it was going to be a 4-1-4-1 like formation, and it would be Glenn Murray up top. You know, Bruno at left back, Sutton or Bong at left. Bruno at right back, Bong or Sutton at left back. Matt Ryan, Dunk Duffy. I can almost name it already. You knew pretty much if they were fit, that's what he was going to line up as. And we're like playing the national lottery. Who's playing out on wing?
Yeah, it's spinning the wheel, isn't it? Who's going to play where today?
Yeah, it's like Wheel of Fortune. You're just going to go, right, for £100, you are getting a header. Oh, you're right wing today.
I'm all up for consistency because, I mean, Leicester, when they won the Premier League, I think they had the same 11 pretty much every game. So consistency obviously does work, but I know you're right. I think it's a predictability that is just so ingrained in us right now.
We've already said Gomez is not a winger. So can we stop playing him as one? Please. Please stop playing him as a winger. His best trait is his tenacity. It's like aggression. He doesn't do that on the wing. He was okay against Villa. But again, just use a winger on the wing. Or someone more prone to being on the wing. Then
you wouldn't think it's rocket science, would you?
Yeah. Maybe, as I say, maybe it's because I'm watching a lot more football this year than I ever have.
Yeah.
In terms of that, if I'm not at Brighton, I'm working on a match day, basically, another football club in non-league. Yeah. So I'm essentially seeing absolutely anything and everything. But it just feels like I'm just... And it's a weird one, because at that place, I hear the fans going, oh, this is an honour. I'm like, just don't even. I was like, I can see every perspective now.
Which every football club will always, every football club up and down the country, no matter the level, will always sort of, and that's a main thing. You know, Aaron's already sort of touched on it. It's relative. You know, things at the Withdean were rubbish in a way that things aren't rubbish now, and that's great. But things are different because the goalposts have moved, and I'm not just from Preston Park to Falmer. Joe, you've been quiet. I'm going to ask you a question now, and I'm sorry that I'm just going to ask it. Fabian in or Fabian out?
Shake it all about, my friend. Shake it all about.
Only for you. Only for you.
Why do you always do this to me, Tom?
Because I love you.
I love you too, mate. Well, I didn't realize it was going to be this kind of podcast. Fabian in or Fabian out? It's a question I have asked myself too many times over the last few months, and I land on that I'm neither. I just don't know what to think at the moment. I said it on my analysis that, you know, do the club sack him, or do they go with stability until the end of the season somehow and hope that it comes off? Because of course, both decisions are a risk. Yeah, you could get someone else in, but maybe it won't work out, or you can hope that this comes good. But as Aaron said earlier, I really don't see where the next goal's coming from, let alone point. We have looked the most toothless I have ever seen us. We looked more toothless we looked more sort of like more bite under Chris Hughton. In that season, we only just stayed up. We knew we had players that could score a goal if you needed them to. But at the moment, exactly, Glenn Murray. But at the moment, we just... Danny's there or thereabouts and has gone back to his sort of form right at the start of the season where he's looked like he's been wearing lead boots. Obviously, he had a great sort of patch earlier on. Matoma has looked a shadow of himself. Don't know if he's fully fit. Probably not. Minte, you know, has been completely missing. Oh gosh, hold on. I'm just doing the graphics. So honestly, I just don't know what to think. And that's, I think, the worst part for me is just being completely like all over the place with it. Because yeah, like for me, I'm just going to turn up and support what's in front of me, and hope for the best, because I think that's what we're down to now. It's just hoping that something good happens, and that, like they're saying in their social media posts, we keep fighting, we're trying our best and all this stuff. Where is that fight on the pitch? Can't see it. We need to see it. So yeah, we're relying on these players like Matoma, like Baleba to pull up trees and be the players that we know they can be, and the soul isn't there. It's just gone. And that's worrying.
But it's fine. You know, togetherness is all that matters, boys. That's all we need to remember. Togetherness.
And intensity.
And intensity, yeah, of course. Yeah, how can you forget the intensity? But of course,
And
they're the two.
And the small things, the fine margins.
Yeah, small thing, the fine margins.
I think the worrying
It is what it
thing,
is. These are a good team.
Fucking idiot.
the worrying thing for me as well is that there doesn't seem to be anything that we can buy into. You know, when we had the bad spell with Graham Potter, there was something to look at and say, this is what we're working towards. But right now, I just don't see it. And yeah, I feel like at the moment I'm tipping over the edge of the fence. I've sat on the fence for so long, and that fence is starting to give me horrific splinters on my bum.
It's not what you need, mate. It's not what you need.
Oh, bloody football, eh?
Join us in the other side of the fence where there is no fence. Our fence is well in the distance.
Do you know when my fence
blown down?
My fence, I think, started getting blown down at Chelsea last year, which was what 5
yes,
games
when we
into the
decided.
tenure?
Yes, when we decided to play really good high
Stupid
high
line.
Yeah, that is tactical fucking genius. Yes, they have pace. They'll be really good if we play a really high line. Leave 45 yards of the pitch behind them. Yeah, good. Good.
I rebuilt my fence a couple of times last season. I knocked my fence down after we lost 3-1 to Palace. I fully knocked that one down.
I remember that.
I went off. And then I rebuilt it a little bit. And then I knocked it down even more when we lost 7-0 to Nottingham Forest. And then the end of the season.
And that was also a really tactical masterclass, playing one in midfield. Fucking one. With a player who's just been out for like 4 months with an ankle injury. Tactical house.
And like the end of that. Aaron, you're killing me, man. The end of that season gave me a little bit of hope that he was the right man. Sort of made me eat my words a little bit. And I've just been really trying to buy into him and like him, but I just can't.
I think that's the thing for me. I could just never warm to him, and I've always tried to be someone. Sorry, guys, strap in. I've always tried to be someone who sort of views things quite objectively and and I've said it on the podcast before. I loved Roberto De Zerbi and I loved Gus Poyet because they were fiery and they made you feel like $1,000,000, as Dagan might say. And I know that it's not about the pizzazz and all that, but I could never warm to him as a human being, and that's more of a me thing than a him thing. But I always try to sort of, not let that sort of affect my judgment. But as I said, the Chelsea game, that for me was such a big red flag. First 10 minutes, I think they'd scored twice and had them chalked off for offside. And our high line didn't change. And then they scored for real and our high line still didn't change. And then they scored again and our high line still didn't change. And I'm just thinking, if I can see this as someone who's like one of the lowest rungs of the coaching ladder, if I can see this isn't working, why the hell are you not telling your defensive line to drop? Cole Palmer that day just absolutely made us look silly. And I remember
thinking, play that well.
Didn't he score 4 goals in the first half?
He scored 4, but the only one which was actually a good goal was the free kick.
Yeah, which is
which is fair because that was a worldie. But other than that, it was just it's like watching like dads versus kids.
Yeah, it was, and it was just. I just remember after that game thinking that was just ridiculous. And there were lots of little blips and things throughout the season. I know that the big results, like, we've just said about Palace and Forest and then the Brentford game. And there were lots of moments where I sort of just went, oh, this is not good. And a bit like you, Joe, I sort of ate my words a bit because there is no getting away from the fact that where we finished and our points total was the second best we've ever had. But sort of like I've reflected upon that and I've looked at this season and I sort of can't help but think that's almost happened in spite of him rather than because of him. Because if you think about the squad we had at the time and all the sorts of things that were in place when he came in, we had a lot of the stuff that was left over from he who should not be named, Roberto De Zerbi. A lot of his sort of methodologies were probably still in place. We had a lot of the players that we still had. And sort of like it just kept chugging along. But I've long since felt that Fabian generally relies so much on individual moments of brilliance to get us out of tight spots rather than having like a tactical plan, a tactical structure that he'll work around. And I think you said it really well, Joe. The reason we stuck with Potter for as long as we did was because the fans bought in to that, because they could see what we were trying to do. And we gave him time. And yes, there were moments that were so frustrating. I was watching some of the old Albion Obsessed clips today, and I was watching videos of us complaining about we hadn't scored in like 400 minutes. And that's sort of like where we're at now. But the difference is we bought into it with Potter because we didn't have... We could see what he was trying to do. We could see what he was trying to build, and it was getting progressively better. And then ultimately, it exploded with... I say exploded. We finished 9th, and then he started that season really well. And then obviously De Zerbi was so rigid in his tactical structure that I was again sort of doubted myself and went, oh, maybe it's because Roberto was so rigid that I've gone from watching that every week to suddenly not being able to pick what we're trying to do up.
So what you're saying, Tom, is bring Graham Potter back. Is that what you're saying?
I would take Graham Potter back now, 100%.
I would.
I weirdly would too.
I've said my piece who I'd rather have in charge than Hürzeler right now. I will not say it on the pod for legal reasons, but you know my opinions on this.
Yeah, look, I'm sure that Fabian is a really nice guy, and he's the sort of bloke that won't rock the boat publicly like Hürzeler did, like De Zerbi did. But he's also not the person who's going to demand excellence, who's going to set those uncompromisingly high standards like Roberto De Zerbi did. Can you imagine Fabian Hürzeler saying, oh, we're a big club now, or, we should be pushing for top 4? He would never say something like that. Roberto completely changed the mentality of this club, and like him or loathe him, complain about him being rigid, which is completely fair. He was just something else. He was a whirlwind. He was a force of nature of a coach. And the person who followed him on had an almost impossible job to hit that standard. And he's just not done it. So, yeah, for me, I don't think this job has come far too soon for him in his career. I think that in a couple of years, maybe this would have been the right place for him. But for me, he's just not where we need to be if we want to be a club that's competing, as Tony Bloom himself has said, for Europe and for silverware.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I've met, as you guys know, I see the team quite often, and he never. Every time I speak to Fabian, he never gives me the impression of, he's a motivator. He is, He's one that will absolutely tear you a new one when you're not playing well enough, and on the flip side, he will praise you to the hills when you're playing well. It's just very monotone, very meh. It's the best way to describe it. It's very meh. And
50 shades of beige.
Yeah, literally. I've seen, as you guys know, for what I do for work, I see them every other week, and it's not changed. And I can't see that it will. I think the only time I've seen them or him get passionate really was when we've scored late goals,
or when he's getting angry at the fourth official.
Yeah, for saying that's probably the right decision anyway. So. Sigh. Just
sigh.
a sigh.
Sigh duck indeed.
It's all I can say. Just sigh.
What I will say in Fabian's defence, and I know I've been sort of alluding to chatting about this, but as we're an hour and 5 in, I feel like we need to talk about this bit because this deserves quite a bit of a chunk about it as well. The recruitment. Aaron, you've already said previously, that the season we qualified for Europe. If you look at our squad, you sent a squad sheet earlier from, was it the FA Cup semi-final game?
FA Cup semi-final, yeah. That was.
And you look at that squad, you look at the likes of Caicedo, McAllister, Mitoma. You had Webster when he was playing really well. You had Solly March, who Roberto De Zerbi made. I mean, this is another slight, Roberto De Zerbi made Solly March look like a world beater. Gus Poyet turned Adam El Abd into a ball-playing centre-back. And if you know what Adam El Abd was like before that, you'd appreciate just the gargantuan change in him. Fabian has not developed these players well enough. I think the only player he's made better is Yassin Ayari, if I'm being brutally honest. Hinchelwood has just gone... Matoma's gotten worse. Rutter can't find form to save his life. Minte still can't use his right foot. A coach's principal job is to make players better, and I just don't see it. And I know it's not like FIFA where you just sim a couple of games or whatever, and then their stats jump up. But I think it's a very valid and fair critique of Hürzeler that he hasn't made younger players better. But that's beside the point. Sorry, Aaron, I got waylaid. Squad back then was obviously amazing, incredible, and there's no bones about it. A lot of those players are now playing at the top clubs in this country. Then we had the spending splurge, £200 million spent on players that, Matt O'Reilly from Celtic, Rutter from Leeds, players that are... Rutter was obviously great last season. Matt O'Reilly got injured, but he was still, championship level at best, I'd argue.
That's harsh.
He was playing for Celtic. He's playing in a Farmers League. Asking him to play as an 8 in the Premier League is like a different.
I still think
jungle.
O'Reilly gets a lot of hate for not a lot, in my opinion. That's fair. I mean, he's better than he's better than what we got.
Yeah, I'm not saying that O'Reilly is rubbish. I'm not trying to say that, but I suppose the level of signing is probably what I'm alluding to more.
Yeah.
And then this season we signed Boscagli, who we've apparently been chasing for goodness knows how long. Barely played him. Coppola, who was really highly regarded in in Italy, barely played him. It's just been a mishmash, and we haven't played the players. The squad is completely lopsided, which we've already said in this podcast. Aaron, what on earth has gone on with the recruitment?
I think you can kind of look at David Weir to a certain degree. I think him getting told to politely leave when he did was a pretty good indicator how pissed off Blue actually was. But at the same time, him and Weir and Barber and now Jason, I can't remember his surname. His name is Jason.
Ato or Ito.
Ato, that's it, yeah. We were hoping for a little bit of a spending spree in January because, we had some injuries we need to address, sort of, needing a striker, etc. Hasn't really happened. It didn't happen. We brought in Pascal Gross for, if I'm being honest, we brought him back for the feel-good factor and probably really nothing else, really, not in a horrible way, because it just feels like another player that we didn't really need. He does create chances. Obviously, that's what he was more than good enough. He was, long-term listeners will know my hatred of Pascal Gross, but that has all changed now. I'm very much, I have so much time for Pascal. I think he's a superb player, but it wasn't what we needed. We needed a goal scorer, and probably, maybe, potentially, another. If I'm honest, I need another fullback. To be honest with you, because
what's a fullback?
Well, do you know what Gross used to be?
No, I will not entertain this idea.
Yeah, they're the positions I think we should have filled. But the recruitment, I think my mates rip the shit out of me constantly for this. We've spent £200 million on absolute trash and gone backwards. Simple as that. And yes, we're building for the future, but the future doesn't help you stay up. The here and now help you stay in the Premier League and bring in that revenue, keeps you in one of the best leagues in the world, lots of money for TV rights, etc., etc. The whole thing that comes to the Premier League. The here and now keeps you in there. The youth don't. You know, I mean, there was an old saying, I think it was Mark Lawrence, wasn't it? You don't win anything with kids. Obviously, Fergie did, but the difference is their kids were, you know, near enough walked into the United team back then and made them better. Do the kids we brought in walk into our team and get it better right now? No. And that's no disrespect for them because, you know, Babis is still a kid, and every time he's come on, he's made an impact. And I think that's credit to him. I thought Stefanos looked good. I think he would actually probably would have started a lot more Premier League games if he didn't decide to, you know, tear his ACL. You know, that's obviously he won't be back till well into next year. I'm pretty sure Solly Marsh is a figment of my imagination at this point. I don't think he actually exists. It's just when we were so close from getting it perfect. Like, we were so close from getting it perfect. And now it seems further and further away than it ever has done before in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. This is the most nerve-wracking it's been in terms of relegation since we've been in the Premier League. Because I'll tell you what, under Houghton, and I'll tell you for why, under Houghton, it actually felt like we could get out of it. Like, because of, you know, the way we were set up, the way we could get goals, i.e. Murray or Gross, you know, chipping in with goals that can win us games because we would defend for our lives then. I don't see that now. I don't see that fight and the desire to, you know, throw yourself on body on the line and making sure that ball does not go in that net. Either end at this point. It's sad, but it's true.
So, sorry, Aaron, just to clarify, what I'm hearing you saying is you want to sign Shane Duffy.
Yes. Yes, I do. If we bring, do you know what? What's Houghton doing nowadays? Hit him up. It's like do a Harry Redknapp. Bring a Redknapp. Bring Redknapp.
He was on a pod the other day, I think, Houghton.
Was he?
They were talking about, like, oh, what's Brighton's secret? And he's like, well, if I told you that, you'd have to shoot me dead.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is an interesting comment.
But, you know. Right now. It's just the whole recruitment thing is just an absolute... It's been a shit show the last year. Really, it's the only way to put it. I don't think there's been any signings that we've made have gone, do you know what, that is worth the £40 million we've just spent. And 40 mil is a lot of money for again, a club like Brighton. Teams like Brighton. To spend on a player. And you expect an instant impact for that kind of price. It just hasn't happened. Not this year, anyway. Last year, you could say Minter, Ruter, you know, they all made impacts when they played, which they did. This year, I think Minter has turned into a player who's just got pace, and that's literally it. He's basically a small Traore. It is because he hasn't got a finish. His final product is dire at the minute. He just runs and then loses the ball. Ruter, poor sod, his confidence is through the floor. And I think Ruter is a very good player, and I do feel for him because you know how you can see how much it cares. He does generally care. But man, find a goal from somewhere, please tell me. Generally, tell me where the next goal is coming from.
I can't, Aaron. I don't know. You're right. I mean, you haven't even talked about Matoma. Matoma's looked like a shadow of a player.
I don't understand what's happened to him. It's actually quite scary, the drop off. It's the same with Belieber, to be fair. But Belieber, you know why that is. His head got turned by United, which is baffling in itself because United are a joke of a club. But Matoma's downfall is nuts. Is nuts. But who do we replace him with? We replace him with Tommy Watson. It's like, you know what? He should have been given a chance more, in my opinion. Tommy, I think he actually, when he came on, he actually looked okay most of the time. And he'd be better than playing with Gomez on the wing. I'd be better than playing Gomez on the wing. I can whip balls in left, right, and centre. I won't be able to run, but neither can Gross, to be fair. But I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry, Pascal.
Gross can't run, Aaron, and that's okay because pace has never been a part of his game. A bit like Glenn.
No, but he can run, but he's very slow.
Was Pascal Gross the player you had to make a full screen apology to, Aaron?
I'm pretty sure I refused to do it, I think.
I think I made.
Well, now's the time.
I'm not mad doing shit. No, sir.
I think what we're all describing really is it's almost been a perfect storm of cataclysmic, which is why we are where we are.
Oh yeah,
we've got a coach who's, I think a lot of fans are starting to question whether he's up for it. You've got a recruitment team that hasn't given the coach what he needs, and you've got players that are so important to what we do that are incredibly out of form. I looked at Rutter's, Mitoma's, and Minter's combined goals and assists for last season, and I think it was something like I don't know, for argument's sake, 15. And then you look at them at the moment now, and it's like 2. So it's shocking. Like the sort of like they've just gone off a cliff in terms of form, and I don't think Hürzeler can be blamed entirely for that. But it's like you say, Aaron, if one of your players is out of form, you don't shove a centre midfielder out there. You play your backup winger that you've brought in from Sunderland. He might as well have just stayed there, poor lad.
Yeah, he probably would have got more game time. Exactly. Now he's a Mill.
Yeah, so it's just been a bit of a cataclysmic era. In the summary, and if you could bring in one position that you just want to reinforce, don't worry too much about whether it be in the Premier League or the Championship, but if you were to just reinforce one position, and what would it be?
That is a tough one. Because you're trying to be not too reactionary. You're trying to think of a point of view. I think probably right back is our weakest point, and there's not a real right back at the club. I know we have Veltman, but Joe will know. Anyone who knows me will know. If there's going to be anyone to defend Veltman, you're looking at him right here. I will do that till the day I die. But he can't start every game, and unfortunately, he can't. As much as I love him, he can't do it. And I think I said it a few weeks ago. I wouldn't have been against if we had just signed someone like a Walker Peters in the summer last year. Yes, okay, it's not a game-changing name, or it's not going to be like, oh, he's a guaranteed starter or this, but it brings stability. If we lost Lamptey, I think we should have gone, right, let's get him in. And look, wages may have been an issue because he's gone to West Ham, and we know what West Ham are like when it comes to overpaying for players. But I wouldn't have been against it. Like, yes, it's not a wow marquee signing, but you go someone that can play on the right, someone that can play on the left. It's an actual solid. It was free. All you'd have to worry about is wages. It didn't have to be a long-term deal. It could be a 2-year, 3-year contract at a max. And if, God forbid, he went to pot, you can ship him off in a year. It would have been a perfect, but we didn't. So I'd say a right back. I think I said it the other day, but probably won't be able to get him just because I think Joe said it. Many other clubs will be wanting him. Is Ryerson from Dortmund. I would just love that as a signing. A proper good player. He would put a ball into the box and he wouldn't be scared to do so. I think the other day he got like 3 or 4 assists. Sorry, it's just you know that person in the library. Yeah, 3 or 4 assists. I think he did the other day, and perfect. Need output from there. So
You had me at put a ball in the box.
yeah,
I was like,
No,
what is
no
this?
I think I said it was like he's got
Yeah.
2 years left or something on his contract, so you probably could get him for about 20 mil. It's not like you're going to be that expensive to buy him. Yes, I'm sure other clubs will probably offer him, 4 times his wage as a Porsche and a packet of Freddos, which is valuable enough these days. But at least we should be going in for him, having a chat, speaking to him, and saying, right, look, what's your thoughts? Big chance to get to your Prem. He's 28, 29, so he's not like a youngster. So he may want to do that big move, if that makes sense, if he was to move. But I don't think we've got any harm in doing that. Get Tony Bloom, have a chat with Dortmund. He's clearly got a relationship. You know what I mean? He put Pascal there and he brought him back, so they've got a relatively okay relationship. Get him in, 20 odd mil. Put Reefer in the midfield, and a presto.
I'd take it. I just want to bring up Mr. Rocker saying about Jack as a right back, and you know what? I've been thinking about Jack because I agree. I think we've lacked a right back for years with Lamptey being so injury prone, and I like Hinch, I do, but I think with the way the Premier League is played at the moment, with physicality and the strength, I just think he just looks too easy to bypass in midfield. So if it were me, I'd consider just sort of. Maybe.
It's weird because, like, you look at Hinchelwood and he's relatively tall. He's a pretty tall lad. So if he was just to beef out a bit, I reckon he could be a very, very good player. And he's at our disposal. He's one of our few that have actually come through the academy, and we can go, oh yeah, no, that's a Premier League player that you're looking at.
Yeah, I love Hinch. I do. I generally do. I just wonder if his with the way, as I say, the Premier League's at the moment, where the centre mid is.
I thought he'd get his dad's strength now,
I think he looks slow as well, but he's probably just like everyone else, just feeling it. Joe, how about you? If you had one position that you'd like to strengthen, what would it be?
Not relying on a 35-year-old Danny Welbeck to lead our line, which has led to many, many, many problems this season. Of course,
who could have predicted such a thing?
Not me. Of course, we had Stefanos, who unfortunately snapped his ACL, which is absolutely gutting because he looked really, really good. I was really buzzing to see how he could come on with, not having the pressure of starting every week, and now the pressure's fallen onto Babis to make that impact. I just feel like there's no in between, and it's a lot with a lot of our squad. It's young raw talent, or it's James Milner. There's no
ready salted crisp man himself.
I've got props and everything. There just doesn't seem to be Premier League prime age players that are gonna get you out of a tough spot. No balance, Tom. We need balance.
We do. Oh, Aaron, same question to you, please.
Manager, thank you. Bye now.
Oh, that was perfect. I as I said, Aaron, I think you may get your wish, but you'll have to wait till the summer. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be.
If I have my way.
No, and I do genuinely Oh no, we've sort of we've shot it as it is, and we've chewed the fat, as I say. But I genuinely wonder how many more losses it'll take this season, and if things continue the way they're currently going, at what point it might come that Bloom pulls the trigger. Because just looking at our fixtures, Brentford, they're flying at the moment. It's at their place. It's going to be tricky. Forest, they're fighting for their lives. Arsenal fighting for the title. Sunderland doing really well. Liverpool, they've just thrashed us. I say thrashed us. They've just beaten us 3-0. Burnley, Spurs, because obviously Spurs are in I've got a new manager, sure, but they're sort of in the mire.
Fine. Spurs will win at Spurs. It's fine.
Do you reckon? Then
Yeah,
Chelsea, Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds, and United. It's I don't know. A lot of people are saying we only need 6 points, and that we might get 6 points, and we might be absolutely fine. But I'm a little less confident than some. Let's put it that way. So yeah, it'll be an interesting couple of weeks, kids. But we've been wittering on now for the best part of a football game. And I like to think, unlike Fabian Hürzeler's teams, we've kind of kept it consistently positive, but not really positive, all the way throughout, instead of having dips and troughs. Oscar in the comments just saying, ideally, he'd like a striker, actually Premier League proven. What's Chris Wood up to these days?
Well, he's injury prone, and we already have an old striker who's also injury prone.
I was joking because, again, when I was watching myself back on, I say myself as if I'm that arrogant. When I was watching the previous episodes of Albion Obsessed, and I kept going on about Chris Wood, which at the time, in hindsight, looks like a great idea because then he went on and banged loads of goals in for Forest, and I was like, "See, past Tom was right." So yeah,
for once it is no.
I'm right about a lot of things, Joe.
I don't know who told you
telling
that.
myself anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure who told you that.
Gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure to share the screen with you all again. Unless anyone wants to say anything.
No further questions, Your Honour.
To be fair, I will say one thing before we head off. I think a lot of credit, especially over this week, especially has to go out to the fans who travelled this week. When you've watching shit football for the last 4 months or so, midweek away at Villa Park, horrible place to go. In the better times for us, we don't really do well up there. And then 8 o'clock kickoff. Yeah,
it's not even
8 o'clock. No, exactly. 8 o'clock away at Anfield on a Saturday night. Kudos to them. And I think we as fans deserve to have our opinions listened to and valued, where I don't think the hierarchies are currently doing that. I think they're just trying to sweep it all under the carpet and go, it's fine. It's like that meme, but that guy's on fire in the middle of the classroom and everybody's burning around him. It's fine. That's what it's like right now. A decision needs to be made either way, so the fans can either get behind or get him gone. Keeping everybody in limbo is not healthy for the club or the stability in this league. The toxic manner of the games recently, i.e. the Palace game, was fully deserved. People who weren't there don't think they realised how toxic it was. If Ian and Joe, were you both there? I'm assuming for the Palace game.
Palace, I wasn't. I was just watching on the telly. I'm kind of glad I did, because I just got to sit there and cry myself to sleep in the shower.
That was one of the most toxic games I've ever been to, and the players and Fabian got exactly what they deserved, and that was a hell of abuse.
My jaw sort of I wasn't shocked. I knew it was coming, but just the severity of how it felt when the fans started singing "Sacked in the Morning." I looked at my mum and I was like, "Whoa, this is bad."
Yeah. Do you know what really annoyed me after that? Was when Andy Naylor, who is paid to be there, comes out and is like, "Oh, the fans are out of order." You
mean the Stoke fan?
Yeah, the Stoke City fan. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
He needs to. He needs to take a long look at himself when he said that, because that is an absolute fucking disgrace. That's basically saying, do you know what, the fans who paid their hard money for their season tickets should not be booing this manager. But me, who's a Stoke City fan, and two, here, free of charge, because I work for the Athletic, and Brighton's chief reporter and that bollocks. Cool, no worries. Your opinion doesn't matter, Andy. Remember when we used to hang on your every word? Not anymore.
I still haven't forgiven him for that tweet. A legend is returning to the club, and everyone was losing their shit thinking it was Zamora. It was Dean Hammond.
But we got our wish not long after that.
I know. And obviously I'm being facetious.
I remember where I was when Bobby Zamora came back. I was sitting and eating a 20 box of chicken nuggets, and it was one of the best days of my life.
Because of the nuggets or because of Zamora?
The combo.
Put your hands together, Thomas.
I would also say, if it's Brentford we have next, isn't it? If, and I'm using that word very stressfully, if we do win against Brentford, no, listen, let me. I'm putting all the stuff in the pot. If we do win, I think we need to make a conscious effort to then, and it's obviously, as I say earlier on the pod, it's convincing. Not we got a penalty in the 67th minute. I actually shouldn't use that number. 43rd minute. Don't you dare, Joe. After Mikel Arteta, that's even worse.
Just be grateful that you're not a teacher. That's all I will say.
Oh, true. But I think we don't need to make a conscious effort to then make the praise as loud as the criticism. If it's a genuine effort where we absolutely showed them how to play football, then we should be going, that was a good tactical game. And rather than just going, we finally won a game. Yes, we did finally win a game, but also let's focus on the fact that we've done that. And it wasn't convincing. If it's a scrappy one, you can lose frustrations, but if it's convincing, you've got to give your plaudits.
It would need to be a 5 or 6-0 for me to go, yeah, he's tactically got that spot on.
The thing is, even for me, and I do agree in, because I am, again, as I said, I always try and be very balanced. But for me, I'd be happy that we won, and be even happier that we won convincingly. But where I'm at is I don't have the faith that will happen again anytime soon, because I will automatically just assume that in 100%. The next game we'll 100%. Revert to type.
The phrase of, you can take it one game at a time is very much used in that sense. But it's one of them ones. It's if you do win, you've got the 3 points. You can complain, but don't complain as much as if you're going to get none, because then we are.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's more than fair.
Also, the thing is we've got to also. If I'm honest, I don't really give a flying monkeys how we win at this point.
Yeah, I will take.
It's got to a point. If let's say, for example, Saturday, Christoph Ehrer decides to get a ball rocket up his arse and goes in the net, and we win 1-0 for an own goal. Perfect, happy days. And that's one step closer to survival.
It'll probably be that Brentford get a penalty because they've had about 8 of them this season, haven't they?
And we're really good at giving away penalties.
Yeah, and we're really good at saving them as well.
I know Eagles had a good year, but if you actually take his penalty numbers out, it's like it's still okay, but it's not like wow. He's got 18 goals in the Premier. It's like he's got like 10 or something.
That's still more than most of our squad combined.
I was about to say that's good.
It's still more, but like
give me 10 goal striker.
Put that into context, like.
Yeah,
you're like, oh shit. Similar to how Ivan Toney was a few seasons actually ago.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably concede a penalty. Is what we do. I still don't think the penalty yesterday was a penalty. By the way,
it wasn't. No, I've looked about that. There should have been a foul on Ferdy before.
I'm still angry about Bournemouth, to be honest. So
I'm still angry about that Spurs game all those years ago. But
fuck me, that's a throwback. Jesus.
I know. We could go on for hours, and trust me, I really can. But what I will do is I will say thank you. I will say thank you to Joe, Aaron.
Valentine's Day was yesterday, buddy.
And Ian, I'm still going. And to all of the people in the comment section who have joined us this evening, I'm sorry for the smut this has descended into, but it's gone past my bedtime. What can I say? We're past the watershed. No, thank you guys for tuning in. We do apologize that the content hasn't been as regular as we'd have liked. Unfortunately, life gets in the way sometimes, but we hope to be back on your screens soon with some more content. The next couple of weeks are going to be tough. So make sure, as Ian says, you get behind the team. We cheer as loud as we can. And if things don't go particularly well, we'll do the other thing as loud as we can as well. But all that's left for me to say is don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And wherever you may be, whenever you may be, we'll see you all again soon. Take care.